Hey, welcome back to Liam Locke Gaming. I'm Liam Locke, and we are on the second part of our journey from Baltimore Washington International Airport to Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris, France. We are at our cruising altitude of 33,000 feet, about 294 knots, and we just completed our journey across the North Atlantic, and we are approaching the coast of Paris, France. Now, according to our flight plan, our scheduled arrival in Paris is 10:29 Zulu time, or that would be 12:29 local time. Currently it's 8:30, so I'm coming back just a little bit early, primarily because I'm really not sure what ATC is going to do with our descent into Paris. We are fairly close. If you look at our flight plan, about 185 nautical miles from DVL, which is a VOR close to the airport, where it turns us around and wants to double us back out for our approach and I assume our descent into Paris. I flew this leg actually once before in ATC as we approached DVL, completely ignored the flight plan and started having me descend fairly rapidly into Paris. So they had us descend fairly rapidly down to Charles de Gaulle, and of course dropping from 20,000 plus feet down to 3,000 is just not very likely without scaring the bejesus out of all the passengers and who knows what else, and stressing the aircraft and overspeed and all kinds of number of things. So I'm kind of expecting they're going to do the same thing this time, and if they do, we'll do a normal descent. We'll go missed approach because we're not reasonably going to make the altitude they call for to intercept the ILS. So we'll just make it work. So I think we're going to arrive probably a little bit sooner than our scheduled arrival time. Just to give you an idea of where we are. Jump outside here real quick. We're 33,000 feet, so we're above the cloud cover. We've got some broken clouds. You can start to see a couple of islands there in front of us. Well, let's actually go to the map and take a look at the map. Alright, so here we are. Here we are flying into Paris. Let me just move this over here a little bit. So we're coming in pretty much straight to the airport. Try to get over here a little bit more. You can see Charles de Gaulle should be this one right here. So Charles de Gaulle Airport along with all these others. This is where we're heading. And if you look at our flight plan, it actually brings us in a little ways, then has us kick around here to the right and then double all the way back out to this DVL waypoint before we turn around and start our approach. Now, I have no doubt that the flight plan does that because it's giving us time to descend to the runway, which I guess makes perfect sense to the flight plan, but FSX ATC is not going to adhere to that, and they're going to start calling for us to descend here fairly soon. So if we go back into the aircraft, we'll take a look at the plan mode for our flight plan, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. We got a handoff here. Whoops. go to plan mode here, you can see we're approaching DVL. We're a little ways from it at the point, but when we get to DVL, you see the two paths coming back into it. Well, we're going to go off here first to the left. And if we step through this, it's going to take us close to the airport to this PG 527 waypoint. Then it's going to have us turn we're going to turn to this CI08L waypoint, come back around, and you can see this T/D indicator. This is our top of descent. So from 33,000 feet, the plane would actually start its descent at this point if it followed the flight plan. And the airport is just over here to the right. From the CI80L, we go all the way back out to DVL, which is quite a trek. I mean, that's 74 nautical miles back the opposite direction to begin our descent from 33,000 feet. And then from DVL, we would cut back around and start heading towards the airport and our final destination. Interestingly enough, it looks like we would actually come back around behind the airport, double around, and then come in for our landing on 27 left. So ATC is not going to follow any of that, so we have to be prepared for new runway assignment and possible rapid descent, which we'll just do the best we can, and if it's not reasonable, it won't be reasonable, and we will simply declare a missed approach on that runway and let them continue to have us descend, and we'll line up for a second attempt. That's what I expect to have happen. I do like flying with ATC when it works, but it gets to be a little annoying when it doesn't. Go back to my map mode here. A little bit of range on this. We still got a little ways to go to get to DVL. Been monitoring the flight along the way. Everything is good. We did exhaust all the fuel in the center tank. We turned off those fuel pumps, so we're now running from the wing tanks. No warnings other than the display select panel, which we expect to see since we're controlling the display from the right CDU. Air looks good in the cockpit and cabins. And short of the cloud cover, the weather actually looks pretty decent. Don't see any problems. We have had pretty much a tailwind most of the way across the North Atlantic. So that's also sped up our flight time a little bit. So one thing I want to do real quick is before we get all the way to DVL, since we're anticipating that ATC is going to have us descend, I want to look at the elevation of the airport just so I have some minimums that I can drop in for whichever runway we end up being assigned. pulled up Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport. 27 left has an elevation of 386 feet. Make a quick note of that. So we'll be looking at 586 feet for our minimum on 27 left. We can go ahead and put that in now. Up here on our EFS panel, we're already set for baro for a minimum definition. And as we start to turn this dial here, we'll see a minimum start to appear on the primary flight display. If you look down here, this number in the green. .586 is set. So one more thing we can take off our checklist of having to do. We're still at our cruising altitude. It's 8:47 Zulu time. And we are about 40 nautical miles from our DVL VOR waypoint. You can see parts of France down below. Not much. The cloud cover's a little thick. So here we are in the center of the map almost. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. Here's where we're headed. So we're getting pretty close. This is 12 nautical miles. If you look at the scale down here on the right. So probably not going to be too much longer before ATC starts asking us to descend. Alright, so now you have a better visual looking at the navigation display of the flight plan that we programmed into the FMC. The whole fly in, loop around, fly back out to DVL, and then start our descent right here as we're coming back out to the DVL waypoint. And then we would continue our descent all the way in until we line up with runway 27 left. Unfortunately, ATC is not going to do that. They sense that we are close to the airport and they're going to try and bring us in from 33,000 feet. Guaranteed. And so the fun begins. We've got our guidance, and they are going to give us ILS vectors to runway 27 right. start our descent to 2300. So you can see by looking at the navigation display that we're already moving off of our flight plan, which was kind of expected. Well, not kind of, it was expected, I should say. So I clicked the button to start our descent. And my vertical navigation was still engaged, so the plane wasn't descending, it was still following its flight plan. So we forced it to start to descend at 2,500 feet per minute. And we are picking up speed here just a little bit. I'm going to hit the speed brake and just slow us down a little bit. Although I don't think I'm supposed to use it above a certain altitude. I don't remember what that is, but I think we're a little high to be using it. But the plane is not complaining about its use right now, so we're going to stick with it just to kind of keep our speed in check. And we've got left turn guidance. All looking good. Speed 260 knots, descending now through 26,600 feet. Bumped up the descent rate to 2,700. It looks like that's a max right now. Oh no, it can go more than that. We'll take it to 3,000 feet per minute. Just a smidgen of weather on the radar. You see that little green patch on the navigation display. Nothing to worry about. Looks like we got a plane off to our 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, King Air 350, 8.3 nautical miles away. Not going to mess with us too much. So 09 Zulu time, 11 a.m. Paris, France time. And we're coming into our 23,000 foot assigned altitude from ATC. We're going to be popping everybody's ears on this plane, dropping 3,000 feet per minute. I still don't think it's likely that we're going to be able to land unless we do manage to get down to altitude. But the last time I ran this, that didn't happen. So far everything looks good. We are picking up speed again, falling down through 21,000 feet. I'm engaging the speed brake once again. The runway assignment, I want to go back and just take a quick look at that. We are given 27 right. We need to make an adjustment to our FMC. We go down here and change our arrival runway. Instead of 27 left, we're going to get 27 right. Alright, well, we've come down through our transition altitude. We want to go back and set our altimeter. I don't believe I've got an altimeter reading from anybody yet. Hopefully we'll get that on our next contact. We were previously set to 3021.
Altimeter setting.
So there we have our altimeter assignment 2946. That makes quite a difference. Turn left 060.
Turn left heading 060. Aircraft 3829er heavy.
So with all that adjustment, you can see that our altitude is off because of the wrong altimeter setting. Yep, got it, understood. I know, we got it, understood. We had an incorrect altimeter setting, we got that squared away right now. 2946 is set on the standby. Descend and maintain 4,000. Yowza. much. Jeez. Let's see if we can get down there. So we're descending to 4,000 feet. Hard right-hand turn to a heading of 145, descending at 3,000 feet per minute. Looks like I don't have the ILS indicator for runway 27 right active yet. Not sure my distance. We might be able to get down there in time to land this plane. We were picking up speed there. I've deployed the air brake again to slow us down and help our descent. So we want to start setting up for landing because everything's going to happen here kind of quickly. We're getting ready to pass through 10,000 feet. I'm going to put our lights on for landing. We also want to get set up for our auto brakes. Currently our air spoiler is still deployed. No issues on our checklist. It's checked, auto brake is set. Our landing VREF we haven't done yet. I'm glad we checked that, so we want to go back to our reference. We are going to do a flaps 30-degree landing. Drop that in. Looks good. Our VREF speed's going to be 147. So 152 will be our approach. Come on. So looks like we still got a decent, I want to move. All right, well, we actually made really good time descending there. So it looks like we're probably going to be okay. We've been cleared to engage the localizer. We're at the proper altitude of 4,000 feet. The tower is telling us to proceed straight in. Let's go look at our approach. And looks like we're in decent alignment to engage the localizer. My ILS indicators have come to life on the primary flight display. So wow, everything is looking pretty good right now. We're not going to have to do a missed approach, hopefully. We do have a lot of cloud cover, so it's a little difficult to see out there. Don't have visibility of the airport quite yet. The localizer is coming to life, so we should be engaging that here momentarily. I want to get the speed of the aircraft because we're at 21 miles, so we're going to start to slow down the aircraft here. I'm going to engage my auto brake is armed, my speed brake is armed. 20 miles away from the threshold of the runway, according to ILS, looking here in the primary flight display. We're going to go to our first flaps position. Go back to our checklist here real quick. So we do have our landing reference speed. We've got our minimum program for 27 right. We've got it for 27 left. I have to jump out there and just check and see that 27 right is pretty much the same. 392, it's a little bit taller. We're probably good with the minimum that we have programmed. We could make a quick adjustment to that though. So if we wanted the 592 for our minimum. .592, we're now at 17 nautical miles away. We're going to drop our speed down here a little bit more. Go to our next flap position. .16 nautical miles away from the airport. Since we're on the localizer, we want to make sure we turn on the approach so we catch the glide slope. And speak correctly there. So next flap position. Watching our speed, 14 nautical miles away from the runway. I'm going to continue to slow down here a little. The glide slope is starting to descend. We should be engaging it here momentarily. Got a little chime that the cabin crew indicates that the cabin is ready for landing. Next flap position, we're going to go gear down. We're going to drop our speed down. We're at about 11 nautical miles from the runway. Starting our descent. Glide slope is engaged. The plane is slowly descending towards the runway. Slow down a little bit more here. Go to flaps 25. And going to get down to our VREF +5 of 152 knots for landing. go to full flaps and hope that everything's lined up. We don't have visibility of the runway at all yet. Ascending through the clouds, pretty thick out there. RAS has already alerted us that we are 2,500 feet above the ground and descending. 6.8 miles to the runway. We can see land. Looks like we're starting to break through the clouds here. Oh, and here comes some rain.
Air France 382-9er heavy, cleared to land. Runway 27 right. Cleared to land. Runway 27 right. Air France 382-9er heavy.
Cleared to land. Looks like we've got a little bit of a crosswind of 20 knots coming at our nose. Still can't see the runway. We have not made minimums yet. About 4.2 nautical miles from the runway. The auto land system of the Boeing 777 has engaged. So it looks like it's got the conditions are set so that it is capable of landing the aircraft. We're going to let it do that for us.
(1,000).
1,000 feet above the ground. Still can't see the runway. Wow. Ah, there. The runway is in sight.
Approaching 27 right.
Everything's looking pretty good.
300. Approaching minimums.
We're going to continue with landing. We've got good visibility on the runway.
(100). 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
All right, nose is down. We'll engage the reverser.
4,000 feet remaining.
Got a strong wind there. 60 knots.
3,000 feet remaining.
Slow down here and see if we can get off the runway here.
382-9er heavy, exit runway when able.
All right.
Air France 382-9er heavy, contact ground on 118.1. 118.1. Air France 382-9er heavy.
Retract our flaps. Put our speed brake. Should be back in. Gonna jump up here real quick and get our we're gonna request taxi to gate.
Air France 382-9er heavy, request taxi to the gate. Air France 382-9er heavy, taxi to gate, Mike 7, using taxiway 063 Kilo 3 Delta Alpha Delta 1 Bravo November Foxtrot November.
get our APU turned on.
November, Charlie. Uniform, Charlie. Warp, uniform. Air France 382
Turn off our landing lights. And we're good to go to taxi to the gate. Looks like we're crossing a runway here.
Approaching 09, right.
Came in a little hot to that corner. I had to stop there abruptly. So it's not a beautiful day in Paris, but hey, you're in Paris, right? What's not to like? So welcome to Charles de Gaulle Airport, Paris, France. We are taxiing to the gate currently. I really do appreciate you watching this video. I'm Liam Locke with Liam Locke Gaming, and we're going to continue to the gate. We're gonna get stopped at the gate. We're gonna get the jetway connected. We're gonna get these passengers disembarked. Finish up this flight. More flights coming at you real soon. I've got the PMDG 747. I'm looking forward to flying a couple of missions in that. More flights in the 777 and the Airbus A321. So come back for that. And we're looking for additional add-ons for FSX. And getting pumped about the new FSX 2020 that's coming out next year sometime. So that's going to be great. Can't wait to see the graphics in that game. But stick around and watch the ending if you like. Otherwise, hey, thanks for visiting Liam Locke Gaming. I do appreciate it. See ya. a long taxi. Looks like the large aircraft parking is over here on the opposite side of the airport. Get by here before this Airbus comes out. Ooh, don't you hit me. What? Hey, that's BS. That is BS. Oh my gosh. Come on. Oh, what a horrible way to end. I just took out an Airbus A321 with my left wing. Oops. Well, that kind of sucks.